Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to build something that would seriously change your barbecue game. Your very own DIY hot holder. Now, if you've ever watched Aaron Franklin or in fact any of the other legendary pit masters, you know they obsess over the hold, and for good reason. When the meat finishes cooking, it's not actually done. The juices need to redistribute, bark just needs to soften just a touch, just the right amount, and then you're left with the perfect juicy bite. Now, it's no secret that Alto-Shaam sets the standard when it comes to hot holding, but here's the thing, they're bloody expensive. And today I'm going to show you that you don't need to spend thousands to get the same benefits. I'm going to show you just how you can build a budget-friendly version that performs just as beautifully, and I'll show the full cost breakdown at the end of the video, and it will shock you just how cheap it really was. And yes, before you ask, it'll hold a brisket just as long as you need. So before I get into showing you the actual build, I think it's important to understand why holding matters. You can cook the best brisket in the world, but if you slice into it too early while it's raging hot, that steam pours out, it's just gone. You lose it and just becomes dry, horrible. Holding lets that connective tissue relax, the texture even out, and the bark stays supple without going to mush. All these barbecue restaurants rely on this step. Now, hot holding saves you from starting cooking at 4 a.m. and stressing for the whole day that the actual cook's going to be ready. If you cook the day before, hold it overnight, and then serve it when you're ready, it is stress-free. So we're building something that keeps food safe until you're ready to serve. What I'm going to show you today is what I've come up with, but I'm far from being an expert. So if you can think of a better way of doing something, then please let me know in the comments down below. When I did a video on how to make a DIY bread proofer, you guys came through big time. There were some amazing suggestions. Some of you guys actually did tests and changes. It was really good to see. If you can think of a better way of doing something, then please let me know in the comments down below. And if you hit that subscribe button while you're there, I won't be too mad at you either. So I've got most of the items from Amazon to keep the build relatively simple and to make it nice and easy for you to find. But some require a little bit of creativity, but to me, that's part of the fun. But what you will need is an insulated Cambro or similar, a heating element, a temperature controller with probe, some vermicelli fireboards, heat-resistant glue, a catering tin that fits in the Cambro, and then miscellaneous items such as electrical connectors, a 2-core wire, that's quite important, a plug. So step one is choosing the right box. You'll need a well-insulated box that can handle temperatures way above the 160 degrees centigrade or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And after testing a few, including this dramatic fail. Now, this was an insulated food container rated at 120 or 240 that I purchased from Amazon, but it couldn't handle the amount of heat that generated when the heat source that I was testing was heating up. And as you can see, it totally destroyed it. The smoke that was pouring out was disgusting, and I learned a lot from this. And after a lot more research and testing, the Cambro proved to be the best option. It's durable, absolutely rock solid, and surprisingly affordable secondhand. So the second step, in fact, I actually did this with a third step, is the temperature controller. Now, after testing several cheaper controllers, the Inkbird for me was the clear winner. It runs on 240 volts, so nice and simple, has a built-in temperature probe, has Wi-Fi connectivity on this particular model, which means that I can plug it all in, go indoors, carry on doing what I want to do, and then just check on the temperature inside the box, so I can always monitor it. And as you can see, it's got a really kind of like nice, rugged, sturdy design. It's good quality material, and it reliably manages the heating source, so it works perfectly. And it does that via this socket. So this is basically where we're going to plug in the heating element, and then through this and the monitoring it does, it turns the power on and off and therefore maintains the temperature inside the Cambro. It works really, really nicely. To be honest, of all the different elements of this build, this is probably the one that I would urge you to spend a bit more money on and buy a decent quality controller. So step 3 is the heating element. Now, this was by far the most difficult, well, for me anyway, problem to solve. I needed a heat source that I could control by power supply, that could get the food safe temp that I needed, and also be powerful enough to heat the entire space in the Cambro, because there's actually quite a lot of air in there. So I looked at reptile mat, 3D printer mat, food warmers, multiple PTC heaters, and none were adequate. The 3D printer mat not only just got far too hot and melted the box, as you've already seen, but also burned all the glue stuck on the back of it, and you can see it made a right mess. The PCT heaters, which is one of these, I quite liked. It's a very simple solution. The air comes in from below, goes through the fins, gets heated, and then obviously heats the air above. Unfortunately, it just didn't have enough guts. I tried 150 watts, 2 times 300 watts, and then this, which is in 1,000 watts, but they weren't powerful enough to heat the space. With the food warming mat, when they reached the right temperature and the power was cut off via the controller, they wouldn't switch back on when the power supply started again. So it just wasn't working. The final solution I came up with, which is actually the one I'm going to show you in the actual build, is a replacement barbecue smoke and heat element, which I think is quite apt. It's powerful, controllable via the controller, and it's actually really affordable. Now, learning from the 3D printer heat mat incident, I want to make absolutely sure that I didn't melt anything ever again. So to protect the Cambro from the high heat, I created a thermosilate tray. Now, thermosilate is used in log burners. It blocks extreme heat really effectively, and it's also quite soft, so it can be easily cut into shape and then glued together. Now, I actually brought 2 boards the same size, and then the second one I cut in half, and as you can see, I've just glued it to the side just to create this tray. Now, the way I've also designed it is that I've got a welder's heat mat, so this should again stop any heat or anything bleeding through. The tray sits on top, and then the heating element fits in there like so. And this I found works really well. It protects the bottom and also the sides of the Cambro as well. And then basically all the heat just comes up to where you need it, heating the space above. So this is pretty thick. Again, like everything, I've linked everything I've purchased down below so you can find these exact ones. But I would urge you, to again, buy something that's pretty decent quality to give you that protection that you need. Because ultimately, you're using this, which generates quite high temperatures, and you kind of want to be safe. That's why I'd also recommend you do not do this indoors. This is always going to be outside. I'm never ever going to use it in my home at all. If something goes wrong and it goes up in flames, well, I'd rather it happen out here than in my home. So the last bit I really want to show you is this. So this is just a normal catering pan, but I purchased one that fits perfectly into the Cambro. Now, the problem and the reason I've got a bungee cord, which is a real like bush fit. Now, the reason I got this is that I need to monitor accurately the temperature inside the Cambro so that the controller knows when to switch things off. And I tried it in different places around the Cambro, trying to find that sweet spot. But what I was noticing is that regardless where I stuck it in the box, this, and particularly the bottom, was really heating up. And I kind of the thought suddenly occurred to me that actually my food is sitting on this, and therefore is this is getting really hot because it's taking the heat first. Then you've got that ambient temperature that's coming through and actually going to carry on cooking like the brisket or whatever you've got in there way beyond that food safe temperature that you want it to sit at. So what I decided to do is using this and the bungee cord, it just literally very simply sits underneath here, and therefore it's registering the same sort of temperature as here. Now, this is one of the bits that if you guys have got a better solution, I'd actually really appreciate it. Also, I want to be able to return the Cambro to just being a Cambro. So all the different bits that I'm doing today, none of them are permanent. So if you want to use it just as a Cambro, then you can do that without a problem. You can easily just take everything out. So nothing is permanent. That's why I've not drilled any holes or done anything like that. So just make in mind that, if you come up with any suggestions, they need to be temporary. Okay, let's put it together. It's taken me months to do all this. Literally, I'm not joking. It's taken me months of testing, failures, this, that, and the other to get it to this place. And I'm literally going to show you how to do it in 2 minutes. It's like going to take no time at all. Right, let's get the Cambro and I'll show you what I need to do. So you'll notice on the front of the Cambro is actually got this hole. Now, there should be a stopper or a cap that sits on it. This one, which I got second hand, it was missing. But actually, it allows me to put the probe through. So it's working really well. Actually, it's actually quite handy. So opening up the Cambro. See, you've got lots of space in here. You've got multiple racks that you can put lots of different food on. You can put multiple ones in because it goes out pretty deep. So it works really nicely. So firstly, I'm going to put in the mat. Then the tray goes in. Now I'm trying to keep it pretty much in center as much as possible. Then the heat element goes in. Now you see here the wire, and the way I've got it to see in here. So this, you can see around here, it's got a really nice kind of like a thick seal, and basically it's got a lot of squish and a lot of give in it. So it allows me to close it on the wire without actually doing any damage. Then we've got the tray, which I'm going to just put in there. And then the probe, I'm going to feed through here. And then just connect that under there. So that's just going to sit against there. Okay, so we've now closed this up. Okay, then it's simply the case of plugging everything in. So our heat element goes in here, and then we'll plug in. So everything's in. In addition to that, I've also got my pit probe from my pen signals. I've put that through the bottom, and I've put it right next to the other probe as well. This allows me to show you a nice graph and actually show you what the temperature does inside the box. But let's turn it on and let's get it cracking. The target temperature is 145. It's currently saying it's 60. And the ThermalWorks at the moment is saying it's 59.4. So we're pretty much on the same. The reason I've got it 145 is that the minimum it needs to be is 143. I don't want to go below that. So I want this to click on before it hits to that below temperature. In reality, the internal temperature of the meat is never going to fall below the 143 anyway. But I just really I'm very conscious that I don't want the actual temperature to ever go near that danger point. So as soon as this hits 145, and it's been set to a 1 degree tolerance, when it gets to 144, it will click back on. And then by the time the actual temperature's raised back up, you'll just see it start going back up. So it will never go below 143. I'm going to let this plod away for about an hour or so, and I'll put that graph on the screen now. Now you can see initially temperature went up, it spiked, and now see it's very cold in here. It's like 60 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's cold in here. That temperature spiked, but then it's settled back down. It's taken quite a bit of time to come down, which is what you'd expect because it's such a well insulated box. But then it's then sitting around that temperature, plodding around there, which is exactly where we want. So it just shows this has worked really, really well and achieved what we're trying to do. Now let's do price breakdown. And as if the fact that this hot holder is going to massively improve your barbecue wasn't enough, the amount you're going to save will. So here we go. So the Canberra itself, which I bought second hand, that was £80. The vermicelli boards, which I had 2, total of £34. The heating element was a steel at $17.99. The digital controller, the Inkbird, was $36.79, a little bit more expensive, but I think very much worth it. The heat mat, so I didn't actually need to use that, but as I have, I've included that, and that was $12.74. The little portion of twin core cable, that's 50p. The plug was £2.38, probably overpaid for that, but £2.38. The glue was $6.99. The electrical connector, which I already had, but I'm pricing up at 50p, gives you a total of £191.89. So I used Alto-Shaam at the time of editing, and the cheapest I could find was on eBay, was £1,998, meaning this DIY build saves you over £1,800. Now, to me, that is worth it, particularly for something that will do just as good a job. So if you've got any ideas which you think might help improve this build, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you want to learn how to smoke a brisket that would be perfect for hot holding, then check out this video where I show you how to smoke one on an offset smoker. Now, don't forget, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos, and hit that like button so that YouTube knows you've enjoyed this video and then recommend it to other people. But until the next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you real soon.